Hello everyone, welcome to the Hue Spotlight. I'm Tracy Koga, and in the hot seat, it is the brothers Landreth. And we are so happy to see them. Actually, I can only hit Joey, I can't reach Dave, but they are live and they're here. Welcome guys, it has been way too long.
Thanks for having us, Tracy.
You, but it's a little thing called COVID and, well, isolation, virtuality. This is live, but sort of virtual too as well, in some parts too as well. We'll have another interview coming our way too, but wow. And a third album, so this is all what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, it's been a crazy couple of years, but we made it through.
Oh, you have, both of you. Okay, there's so much to talk about. Yes, we'll talk about music, but I kind of want to do a little bit more personal. So congratulations to both of you. You know that you have beautiful second others that are way more important, Anna and Roberta, but also new additions. You are dads.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
You can say that. We're dads. We're dads.
Whoa, best kept secret is out. We are officially parents.
Yeah.
Okay, Joey, you've got a little girl.
I do. A little girl. Her name is Joni, and she is such a blast. What can you even say? I mean, it's my most favorite thing I've ever done is be her dad. It's the greatest, and she's really funny and pretty crazy, and she loves music. She likes to sing and dance, and she also loves stuffed animals.
Oh,
you know, kid stuff. But yeah, it's amazing. She's just over a year old. She's walking. She's not really talking. But she definitely keeps Anna and I on our toes and having a lot of fun.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
And soon to be daddy's girl, I think.
Well, verdict's still out. She's definitely prefers mom still, but we're working on it.
Good. And then Dave, you and Roberta.
Yeah, we had our son in January right before the pandemic hit. His name's Finn. He's 2 years old and about 3 months now, give or take, and he's a little maniac. He loves trucks, and right before I came here to chat with you, he pitched an entire bowl of chili over his head just as I was walking out the door, and that is just a perfect representation of him as a human being. And so yeah, we're having a blast.
Oh my goodness. You know what? I know that you are terrific dads, but I really have a hard time picturing you. But you know, this is great, and I think now going into music and also going on tour, a different perspective, I think, about going on the road, right?
Without a doubt, like, it's bittersweet. I mean, we love what we do for a living, and getting up on stage and playing music makes us the people that we are, and it's a big part of what brings us joy and purpose in this life. But you know, when the pandemic hit and we sort of took our lives changed pretty quickly on the spot. You know, all of a sudden this music thing that we've taken for granted is taken away. But we started families, and so we pivoted, and suddenly you go from a big part of your identity being as a musician, as an artist, to, you know, now you're a dad first. And that was an easy shift to make. Mm-hmm. So coming back to work now and going back on the road and traveling, it is going to be an interesting experience for both of us as we sort of like learn to grapple with those new roles and balancing those identities. But
wow.
Yeah, be excited. It's going to be great. Really exciting to hit the road again and play some shows, and but we're also going to miss our babies.
I know, but you know, there's always a chance that the girls will come out and meet you guys on the road too as well.
Absolutely, as often and as frequently as they have the energy for it, we'll definitely make it happen, and we're looking really forward to sharing that with them.
Well, and that's another thing, energy. Well, I mean, you're on tour, so it's just you that, right, you have to think about. But when you get back to doing shows here and everything like that, it's going to be a little bit different to find the me time. Even probably, I mean, putting this new album together, come morning, it must have been a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It was an exercise in kind of heads-up hockey. We had to make some pretty fast decisions and sort of change our our perspective when it comes to how we make records, and because we've made records in a pretty traditional sense. You put a few people in a room, drummer, bass player, guitar player, maybe a keyboard player, hit record, you pick your favorite take, and then you put a couple background vocals, like maybe a guitar solo, and off you go. But that's not how this record came together. Our bubble was Dave and I and Murray, our producer, and we ended up having to figure out, well, how do we make a record when we can't gather really outside of this bubble that we've sort of put together. And so we wound up calling musicians from all over the place and having people kind of collaborate on the record. And at first we were pretty nervous about how it was going to go, but as soon as we started to get tracks back from people and hearing what their sort of interpretation of what we had sent them was, because we just sent them an acoustic guitar, a bass track, and my vocal. Here's the song, what do you hear? Add to it. And when we started getting things back, it was immediately clear that, okay, this is going to be a really cool way to make a record. And in fact, we might even do it again like this, even though we wouldn't necessarily have to. But yeah, it's been a real exercise in acceptance, because there's a lot of things that we can't control, and you just kind of have to go with the flow. And it's been really good for us.
Aww.
I mean, obviously a pandemic is far from ideal and pretty devastating for a lot of people, but it has been a good sort of reset.
Lots of good came out of it for sure.
Yeah,
Well,
it's hard to
that's
say
good.
it was good, but lots of good did come out of it. That's the right way to say it.
Well, and that brought you two back together, after spending some time away and doing your own things, which I think anybody would need to do, and especially because you're brothers. What was the experience like this time around, Dave?
Well, so when the pandemic hit, I mean, we sort of retreated into our homes and tried to wrap our heads around what was happening. But as soon as we kind of realized that we were going to be down for the count and the tour dates, like we had, almost a year worth of tour dates on the books, and they just started falling like dominoes. And once we'd realized that, okay, we're actually going to be sitting here for a stretch and this is not going anywhere. It really was the first thing. It was like, well, let's make a record. Like, let's get started on the next one. I think we started writing first, and then very quickly we're like, oh, it's, we're writing. Let's make the record. And so, as soon as the restrictions allowed us to sort of break out of our very strict, just like home only bubble, we were sort of the first people that we saw, saw each other, and that seemed like a pretty obvious choice. We're very close. I think, you're aware of that. And, so it was, pretty obvious that we'd want to spend time with each other's families and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the songs are a little different than, and I guess too, the second album, 87, was supposed to be something totally different than the first album, and you brought in more people, and it was a little bit, can I say rock, a little bit more energetic.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and I mean, it's a shame, because I mean, 87 was kind of supposed to be our comeback record. It was like, okay, we're going to finally make a second album after all the touring and all the stuff that came from the first record. And by the time we got around to starting to tour, it was, late 2019, and we all know how that goes. Yeah, we were getting ready to start following up on some of the places that we had started touring on the new record. We were supposed to start following up in March. So it was like, well, it's a pretty serious, like, punctuation. There's a very definite period on this sentence. So, when we started to gather material for the next record, it really became about kind of walking through what we were processing and some of the feelings that we were having. And, Dave and I both put a lot of work into our mental health over the last couple of years. So there's a lot of talking about that and exploring those kind of topics. And it is definitely, like, it's a mellow record, and there's some, like, stronger subject matter on it for us, certainly. But ultimately this record is a celebration of the process of grieving and processing trauma, and coming out on the other end. And while, there's definitely there's a mellower undertone, and some sad topics, there really is joy in it for us in processing these, and like I said, coming out on the other side, and that's kind of the double entendre of the name of the record is Come Morning. Is like, you can think of it as, come morning, the sun is rising, but also once you've done the mourning that you need to mourn, then a new day kind of starts. So that's kind of where it all comes from, and we dug deep on this one.
Wow. And do you think if it wasn't for COVID and isolation, this album would not be?
I think we would have made a very different record. Like, it's not. I'm very careful to make it clear. Like, it's not a pandemic record. It's not a COVID record. Like, it doesn't predominantly deal with isolation or that kind of thing. But the way we made it and the way we were able to make it, I think could have only happened in that window of time if it had been. Because you're also when you stop to make a record, you are a certain person at that time, based on what's going around in your life. And if we had been, at the end of the '87 album cycle, which would have been 2 years later, whatever, after that record came out, we'd be very different people. Like the way we raised our kids and the context in which we sort of weathered this time, like it just influenced all these things. So yeah, without a doubt, this record would not be the way it is. And I truly believe that this record is the best of us so far, so I don't know that if we'd made it at a different time under different circumstances, that it would be better or worse. It would just be a very different record.
Yeah. I think the pandemic allowed us space to stop and slow down, which we wouldn't have done otherwise. I had done, for the first time in my, nearly, how long have we been on the road? Forever long career. I've been
5.
Yeah, I've been pretty much on the road since like 16, 17 years old. So for the first time in my career, I was taking some time off, and I decided, okay, I'm going to take 3 months off of the road. And I was like, whew, this is going to be good. And I got to the end of the 3 months, and we were looking down the barrel of hitting the road again. And was like, I'm burnt out still. I am not ready to go back on the road. And when our first round of dates got pulled out, it was kind of a relief in a way that I was not expecting. And I had to sit and process that, like, this thing that I've done for my entire adult life that I've allowed to define me is like kind of wearing me out. I still love it. And I'm so grateful that we get to go back to work. But, too much of a good thing is still too much.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we were at. And I think the space that the pandemic gave us was really, really paramount in us sort of, I feel like, leveling up our artistry. And some people may agree or disagree, and that's totally fine. Our art is completely subjective, and I welcome anybody's opinion. Well, I don't know, maybe I don't want to know about it if you don't like the record. But it is what it is.
Certainly entitled to it. Whether you want to hear it is something else.
That's such a great thing for you to share with us, because how many musicians are like that too as well? Because it's go, 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 right? And if you stop, you lose. It's the next dog that's going to get the bone if you're not out there and going out to your fans. And so now if you take it, what you're doing, getting yourself into now, after the album, and you guys are going on tour again, and quote unquote, you're going from 0 to 60.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of shows. Is there angst?
Absolutely.
Or this time around? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's excitement.
Yeah.
But those things coexist. Like we're excited to hit the road. We're very anxious about, leaving our, like, we went from being guys who live out of suitcases like half the year, or a good chunk of the time anyways, to being guys that, like, I've never been away from my son for more than a day. And now we're going to hit the road. We're going to be gone for a month, and we're home for a little stretch. Then we're gone for another month, a little window, and then we're gone for a month. Like, I'm going to miss 3 months. We're going to miss 3 months after not missing 3 days. So there's going to be a learning curve to that. But there's also excitement about, the world opening up and seeing friends and we'd love to travel, Obviously it's hard to do this job if you don't, but luckily we do. And so, yeah, it's a very complicated potpourri of emotions to contend with, but that's what makes life interesting and beautiful and challenging.
And I think so. And I think it's all where your head is at. And I think after all of this, and relationships, family, children, it's all kind of made level sense to you, if that makes,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And it grounds you,
Yeah.
and you don't have that panic or whatever. I got to be doing this, and I've got to be here, and I've got to be there, and we got to book that show, and go. And also, you've got taken on a new role. Congratulations as co-producer.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Or is that just a title because you've probably been doing this all along, anyways?
Yeah. I mean, our relationship with Murray is so collaborative, and it always has been, and that's why I think we work so well together. Is that he's not the kind of guy to put his fist down and say, no, we're not doing this. He's very, very.
Has he ever been mad? Has he ever yelled?
Not that I've ever seen. I mean,
don't-
I'm sure it's happened, but I like, does a tree fall in the forest? You know what I mean? I think it's kind of one of those things. But this is the first time that we said, okay, I'm going to go into this and co-produce this thing, and it definitely made me feel a little more like, okay, well then I should definitely be a little more deliberate about trying to sit in this role, as opposed to like, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do this, but ultimately Murray's a producer, so we'll do
it your way. Yeah,
it would be like, that sounds like a good idea, Murray. But now it was like, no, let's try this. I mean, it really is not a massive shift, but it's exciting for me to kind of have that role be a little more official, and I mean, in reality, I do a lot of that kind of creative work on my own and in my own projects, and now working on some other folks' stuff too. So yeah, it's fun. It's a fun progression.
Well, that's good. Here, I thought Dave would be the one because he was like adamant, no cowbells. Like, I don't get that. He was a hard no. Hard no.
You didn't even get a chance to audition. I fired you on the spot.
I know. It was just like,
I have
wow.
a creative vision. It's strong. It's well articulated.
You know,
and
like,
I'm sorry, there's just no
Murray
word
would
for you on the
have
bandstand.
said no, but at least with a smile.
No, I'm not. That's not my job. I'm here to tell you.
Davis sunglasses inside.
I'm here to
I
tell
know.
you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Oh,
Tracy.
boy.
Well,
I got-
he'd be a good manager.
That's right.
You'd be good.
Listen, you can play cowbell in my band.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Oh, well, you know what? Come Morning, I think, is a beautiful album.
Thank you.
Kind of, it reminds me, and it goes back to Blue Rodeo, early
Oh.
days.
Love that.
Wow.
So there's a big, there's a gap, there's a missing kind of sound or genre right now in music that I think Brothers Landreth can slide right in.
Maybe
and
we can invent our own genre and just call it the Brothers Landreth.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll
It's a
talk to
little
whoever they
ambitious.
is. I appreciate that. That is high praise. Yeah,
Wow.
Thank you.
Tracy.
No, and you guys have never sound better. So we can hardly wait because they will be back with 2 songs, I believe,
That's right.
off the album. And so don't go away. We still have more yet to come with Joey and Dave. But for now, we are going to do a little interview with another duo. They're called Clever Hopes. And it is Andrew Shaver and Eva Foote. And they got together a little differently, and they're not brother and sister, so. But they do have a great musical relationship. So here's the interview with Clever Hopes, and we'll be back on Hue Spotlight. I want to give a warm Winnipeg welcome to Eva and Andrew. Welcome to Hue Spotlight. And your story is really, really amazing. And not only is the story amazing, but also your group name, the duo name, Clever Hopes. So I'm going to actually start with ladies first. Eva, the story behind Clever Hopes and how you met Andrew.
Andrew and I met in Montreal, like, it feels like it was both 5 minutes ago and 600 years ago. I just graduated from theater school and auditioned for a production of a sort of folk musical play that he was directing. And I walked into the audition room and I remember thinking, like, this person is really like friendly and open, and I was kind of, new to the industry, so I was kind of dubious of him. I was like, why is he so nice and easy to get along with? Something's wrong with this. And this was the beginning of a long creative friendship. So I was an actor in that production, and then we sort of stayed after the shows in the evenings and would jam, and he would send me songs he was writing, and I just totally adore him and his music, and was so flattered when he asked me to come sing on his first record. So yeah, what's our story? Dear friends, I like to pretend that his baby is my baby. It's a fun joke that we have.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's Clever Hopes.
Well, it's interesting. Clever hopes, Andrew, that Eva would say yes and join you on this musical adventure, or is there another story behind Clever Hopes?
Well, and I mean, no, I mean, Eva launches it pretty well there. You know, I remember seeing her for the first time when I was auditioning actors and actresses for that musical once, and she just blew me away right away. Like she walked in, and it was one of those situations where, as a director, you're so relieved to have an actor come in and just own it, and then you don't have to worry about that anymore, and you can just move on to the next bit of thing of business that you've got to worry. But there's always something to worry about. But not with Eva. She from that moment on basically took the show, put it on her shoulders, and carried it across the finish line. And yeah, there was just a mutual love and admiration. I just think she's not only does she have an incredible singing voice, but she's a great songwriter, and I've just been a fan. I was a fan of hers before we started collaborating on Clever Hopes. And so when I came around to finally recording an album, my first album, I knew that I wanted to have a partner on that up front with me, and I wanted that to have, given the sort of the material, you know, the stories that are being told on this album, I really wanted that to be a female perspective and voice on the songs that I was writing. And so Eva was the first and only call. There was no one else. And as Eva said, I would send her songs, these sort of scratch recordings of songs. I didn't know any better, you know, to be embarrassed of these, to send out, you know, the zygote sort of songs, and Eva would ever so generously receive them and hit me with whatever thoughts she had on them, and Clever Hopes was born, and I couldn't be happier to be sharing this journey with her.
Oh, well, it's beautiful music, and it's really nice to get back to soulful but yet simple and beautifully written, and the melodies too. You know what? Andrew was very, very, very nice and giving you such kind words, Eva. But you know, from a female perspective, how bad was it? No, I'm just kidding. I know in this whole kind of world of virtual and you know can't be together. How was that whole process? I guess maybe helped in your case, or maybe you know presented challenges too. Eva.
Is that for me, Tracy?
Oh
or for
no, it's
Eva?
going to Eva. Sorry.
Yeah, great.
I
Go
know
ahead,
it's
Eva.
hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I think probably I've caused the most difficulty with the long distance because we're also theater and performance artists outside of music, which is contract work. So I live in one city for a few weeks or months, and then in a different city for a few weeks or months. So I think that presents some logistical challenges when trying to rehearse or put shows together. But the trick is really, it sounds like we're just like doing this badminton game of compliments, but having someone like Andrew who really thinks ahead and gets shows locked in months before. And it's kind of nice to have a break to breathe and reflect on the music and come back to it. So I'm sure there's a silver lining, even though I know I've been very difficult.
Well, difficult is good. And Andrew, for yourself, though, getting back to music, you're a director, you have plays, a producer.
Mm-hmm.
Was there something missing for you that you needed to do and start Clever Hopes and do your own music?
Yeah, there really was, Tracy. As you say, like I've come up through theater primarily, and a lot of that was as an actor, and then as a director, and then a director-actor, and as a creator, and then as a producer. But the one constant that always sort of was thread through that was not only a love of music, but I would implement. You know, I would collaborate with musicians on the shows that I was making, whether they were musicals or not. You know, obviously the one that I did with Eva is a musical, and it would be pretty stupid not to collaborate with musicians on that. But I did a lot of straight theater as well, dramas, comedies, whatever, Shakespeare, and I would always musicians coming into play, but then also musicians acting. There's something about that crossover between disciplines that I just think brings something so exciting to that role, whether it's a musician becoming an actor or an actor becoming a musician. I'm really thrilled by the nervousness, the anxiety that can come with taking that step. And so I felt like I had thrust that on enough musician buddies over the years that it was time for me to do it myself and sort of put my money where my mouth is. And when I directed once, those jam sessions you were talking about after the show, and there came a point where I was really disappointed in myself because the guitar would get passed around, and after people were through playing the cover songs that we all knew, people started playing original numbers, and I had written songs, I'm talking like 15, 20 years ago, and I had forgotten them. And I was really disappointed in myself. And so I kind of had to pass the guitar. And it was from that moment, that was the catalyst where I said, I got to get back to this. The next chapter is going to be me really stepping up to the plate and writing songs again. And so Clever Hopes was born out of that.
Yes, and congratulations, both of you, on the debut album, Artifact. Each story or each song is a story, and I know that obviously, Andrew, you've put your heart and soul and bared it out for everyone. For you, Eva, what is the journey like, as the second part, or, the other half of the duo, putting in your, I guess, touch on the songs? Do you have any personal connection to, and did you co-write to as well with Andrew?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think about that a lot with being, in a what is, I think, seems very much like a balanced duo, as I get kind of extra credit where I don't deserve it. But Andrew wrote all of this material, and I think the way I saw it sort of was almost like kind of inhabiting a role, like when you are in a play, that I kind of got to interpret these stories through a personal lens and bring that take to the delivery on the album, and then when we sing live. But for me, I guess I find this too, having been in lots of plays where I have a very small role, is like finding my and service to the song. So for me, that is a lot about balance and blend and supporting what the story is and what the words are. And that gives me a huge amount of personal satisfaction, and I think enhances the music too. But Andrew really is the writer of this material and is the band leader. And I feel like hugely honored to be a part of that and get to pose in all the pictures.
Well, let's just say that I won't even say anything. But what I really truly want to say, though, Eva, is that you bring to the songs not only your own interpretation, but it seems that you are part of the songs too. So you're definitely, 50-50 here with the duo. It's magic. Andrew, of course, is, the brains, I guess, for bringing both of you together. But it's really, truly beautiful music. So both of you, kudos. And so lastly, Andrew, can you do some clowning around for us?
Yeah, let me grab a lime. I've got 3 potatoes. I can start juggling for you.
Like, where's your red nose?
I could mime out if you want and mime back in.
Yeah. You never know when clowning is going to help your career.
You never know the myriad applications of a diploma in clowning. Hey, Tracy.
Hey, that ranks right up there, and I think you should be proud of it. But congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Every album has a huge story, and this one definitely does. You are going to play us a song, and unfortunately, fortunate that Andrew will do an acoustic song. Unfortunately,
I know where you're going.
Yeah, Eva can't join in because of this virtual world in which we live in. But the song is beautiful, but also there's a story behind it too. And I think Eva had her hand in shaping it too as well.
She really did, actually. Yeah, this song, the beginning of this song was an entirely different song, and it was the first song I started writing coming out of that production when I was that I was directing Eva in. And I sort of made a case for myself to start writing songs again. It was the first song I sent to her, and basically it was in 4/4, and she, sometimes the best advice is the simplest advice, and she said try it in 3/4, and I did, and I was locked in 4/4 I couldn't finish the song. I didn't know where it was going. I tried it as a waltz, and it basically, I went to Australia a couple months later, and the song wrote itself after that. There's one line in this song that was from the original, the version that I sent Eva, and it's one of the very first lines: "The pounding of a bird's wings, black streaks the blue," and it's the only part of that original song that is in this. But yeah, so when you talk about Tracy, when you talk about Eva being 50-50, she truly is, and she'll put the humility forward and try to defer like that. But the Clever Hopes wouldn't exist without her. So. Would you like me to play Shadow Waltz?
I would love you to play Shadow Waltz. Thank you so
Great.
much, Eva and Andrew.
Thank you, Tracy. It's been a real pleasure to be here with you. So yeah, as I said, this song has its roots in Australia. I was in Tasmania, and the island was ablaze, and travel on the island was limited to a coastal region. So I spent a couple days in a beach villa, and I remember swimming in the bay and thinking, I don't understand why it's snowing in Australia. It's summer, and I realized that was the ash from all the fires. This is Shadow Waltz. Fault lines of a freeway fade out of view. The pounding of a bird's wings, black streaks of blue. White caps jump like static, flotsam scours the land. Smokestacks cut like lumber, and charcoal jogs the sand. You can't see the shade for all of the shadows. Still you watch the parade roll on by from the shadows. Tin clouds chipped and soldered, stone boys light up the sky. The air gets hotter and hotter, and we lose track of time. But you can't see the shade for all of the shadows. Still you watch the parade roll on by from the shallows. No shades of gray curl their way out of the bay. Baby, if you stayed laid out naked, we'd watch all the stars in the Southern Cross creep their way across the sky. We'd spot the fifth if we squint our eyes. Laid out naked, we'd suss all the scars that shift between us. Like the glass at our feet, I touch your hand, you're drifting away from me. Yeah, I'd take your hand, but you're already out of reach. Shades of silhouette of a city cupped into your hands. You flip your lucky penny. So why would you fall again? Ba-da-da-da. Why would you fall? Ba-da-da-da.
Well, that was lovely. We're Dave and Joe, the Brothers Landreth, and this is the second single off of our latest record, Come Morning. The song's called What in the World?
I be reaching out for nothing in the middle of the night, trying out punchlines but they don't land right. Who'd I miss? Who'd I hold tight? Who would outshine the sun in the morning light? What in the world would I do without you? What in the world would I do without you? Who in the world will the birds sing to? Who'll be the eye in my I love you? Who'd make all of my dreams come true? Who'd forgive what I can't undo? What in the world would I do without you? What in the world would I do without you? I'd be driving at night with no lights on, trying to find my way home. But what in the world would I do without you? When I hear a slow song, would I spin around? Who'll be the home in my hometown? When I get too high, who'll take off my crown? When I'm up on a ledge, who'll talk me down? And what in the world would I do without you? What in the world would I do without you? I've been driving at night with no lights on, out in the dark, too far gone, trying to find my way back home to you. But what in the world would I do without you? What in the world would I do without you?
Thank you. We're gonna do one I'm gonna sing. This one's called Shame.
Time was I didn't think about it. These days it's the only thing on my mind. I wouldn't be here without you, and it breaks my heart to leave you behind. Objects, they appear bigger in your rearview mirror. Heavy foot finds a gas, and sure as a rising sun, you won't outrun 'em. Best move over, let 'em pass. Shame, shame, shame. No wicked wonder, it pulled us under. Damn right, pride came before the fall. Pulling at the seams of half-hearted dreams, unravel till there's nothing left at all. Your head's ringing like a bell, and it hurts like hell. You're strung out a long way from home. You can fool the rest, but if I had to guess, part of you is still waiting there alone. Shame, shame, shame. It's a crying shame when I hear your name. Shame, shame, shame. There is a shadow where you once were. I got a hard time looking over there. It reminds me of my failures, an awful quiet and an empty chair. You always had my back, you were good like that. You wanted so bad to be a good man. Shame, shame, shame. It's a crying shame when I hear your name. Shame, shame, shame.
And the crowd goes wild. Yay! Oh, thank you so much, guys. It's been so fun.
Thanks for having us, Tracy.
Yeah,
Such a pleasure.
beautiful.
We've missed
Great. Oh, I've
too
missed
long.
you. I know, way too long. I know. Well,
Let's
you
do
know
this
what?
more often. Come on.
Hey, you're always welcome back here. I don't know, you're just going to be off gallivanting around the world, spreading the word. But hey, just remember us poor souls back in Winnipeg. Yeah.
We will.
Hopefully, you know what, the snow will be gone by July, and then we can,
Oh.
you know, we could hang out outside. That'd
That'd be
good.
nice. That'd be really nice. Let's not talk about the snow. Oh, God, I have to shovel tonight.
Hey, you know, it's the jobs. They're real people, folks, you know. They have really mundane things like, you know, like changing diapers and,
Shoveling snow.
yeah. All those great things that all of us take for granted all the time.
That's true.
Anyways, thank you so much. It's Come Morning. When is the album out? I believe
May 13th.
May 13th. And then these guys are going on tour. And stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you.
And you'll see them shortly in this summer, I'm hoping. Thanks so much, Joey and Dave. Love ya. Thanks for all of you joining us on Hue Spotlight. And when we come back in 2 weeks' time, we'll have Rami Mays right here on set.